Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. So nice to see you. Hi, Patricia. How are you? Hey, Sarah, Carol, Kavita. Nice to see you all virtually. Feel free to keep your cameras on for this session if you want to, but welcome to our final Lunch and Learn for 2021. It's a pleasure to be hosting this session. Before we kick off officially, let me hand over to Kirrah from Westpac's Ruby Connection to officially start today's session.
Thanks so much, Maggie. Welcome back, everyone, to our monthly Lunch and Learns. As Maggie said, I am a Senior Manager of Women's Markets at Westpac and I run Ruby Connection. I'd like to acknowledge the lands that we are all meeting on today. I'm coming to you from the lands of the Awabakal people, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. As many of you now know, Ruby's focused on discussing the issues that women are talking about, and in particular, building financial confidence and creating a life that you desire. I'm so proud of the sessions and the topics that we've brought to you this year, including home ownership, kickstarting your business after lockdown, secrets to salary success, which was a huge one. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. And supporting you through some of the challenging times. So we've had some really great wellbeing sessions as well thrown in there. So it's just been such a great year with you all. And I just wanted to take a moment to just do a little shout out. She doesn't know I'm doing this, but a shout out to Meggie Palmer, who has been the most gracious host and moderator of all of our sessions here. So shout out to you, Meggie. It's been amazing and well done. But it's also been a huge year for everyone, including many challenges. And we wanted to ensure that we stopped and just reflected on some of the achievements that we've made as a community, and then have a moment to get to meet each other virtually, which will be really exciting and the first time that we've done that. Hey, Meggie, this morning I listened to a Mamma Mia podcast, which was very timely, and it discussed the art of small talk, and that post-lockdown, with no holidays and very limited activities to speak of, that we're feeling a bit nervous, a little bit anxious about where to start when we bump into someone. And I know that cues a bit of social anxiety. It certainly does for me. But I'm starting to think about, the colleagues that we're going to bump into as we start to go back into the office. I'm in there next week. You're jumping into the lift well, and then, what do you say? Or perhaps, we're entering the festive season, we're going out for drinks or barbecues and the like. So what do we say? How do we do it? Maggie, help.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because after, more than 12 months for a lot of us of being social, potentially being in an office, it's like a whole new set of skills. I used to be very extroverted, Kirrah, I have to say. And now I would probably say I've gone a little introverted, which I don't think too many of my friends would have expected. But 12 months, in my apartment did that to me. So there you go. So listen, I would say, and I'd love to know from all of you, let us know in the chat, are you feeling anxious this holiday season, going back IRL to events, to office holiday parties, or to the office itself? Let us know in the chat. Kirrah and I would love to hear from you. I would say one thing that always helps me when I don't know what to say, when I'm lost for words, and this was helpful when I was a journalist as well, is always ask the other person questions. People love to talk about themselves, right? We've all got an ego, big or small. People love to talk about themselves. So if you're in the office and you run into Sally or John in the lunchroom or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, frozen, I would just say, hey, what's going on? What's been happening in your life? If you really don't know what to say, ask the other person a question, and that always buys me a couple of minutes, Kirrah.
A really great tip. I will have a list of my top 3 questions I can ask at any point in time.
And a lot of us are feeling anxious. Thank you for sending your messages through. We appreciate that. And you're not alone, right? There's some of you may have read about the concept of languishing, which is how a lot of us are feeling post the pandemic. So it's very normal if you are feeling that way as well. This is our last Lunch and Learn for 2021. But the good news is we will be back in 2022. And today we wanted to take a moment to celebrate all of you and to reflect on the year that was, because so often in life we're just like, go, 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 next project, next project, next project. And we stop to, we forget rather to stop and smell the roses, which is something that my late grandfather taught me. And I think it's some nice life advice. Actually, I'm at TED Women in Palm Springs today. And Lily Singh was one of the guest speakers, who some of you may know. She has a massive YouTube channel. I think she's got 10 million followers on Instagram, as you do. But one thing she talked about was on her Instagram today, she did her TED Talk, and she talked about how she always goes from Netflix project to this, and she never stops to celebrate her successes. So I think we should all take a leaf out of Lily Singh's book today and celebrate our 2021. So we would love to know from you what you're celebrating. How about you, Kirrah? What are you celebrating this year?
Oh gosh, it's been hard, but I do think that there's so many things that I'm super, super proud of. For one, these sessions, I'm probably the most proud of these sessions and the community that we've built. I love the chats that we have coming through, and it's such a supportive community. So I'm super proud of that for sure. What about you, Meggie?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And we've actually got a little poll that we want to ask all of you about this specific question. And I feel like for a lot of us, success right now just looks like surviving, right? Like getting through the year. So let us know in the poll what success this year has looked like for you and what you're most proud of. I think I'm most proud of being able to keep a glass half full attitude despite everything that's going on in the world and all of the uncertainty, because it can be tough. And certainly having a gratitude practice has helped me with that, which I know sounds a bit like, a bit out there or whatever, but it's one of those things that a coach taught me, and it's been very, very helpful. So what we thought we would do now is take a moment to grab out your pen. If you're a bit digital and you like to take notes on your phone, that's okay too. And we just wanted you to write down one success for the year, right, Kirrah? One personal, and then there's another thing we want you to do too. We're going to write down one personal success that you personally are proud of, but then also one professional success. So just write down 2 dot points of something personally, and you can also just put it straight into the chat if you want. And thank you for the questions. Keep them coming. We're going to get to those in just a moment as well. So one professional success and one personal success that you're proud of this year.
And it can be, big or small, right, Meggie? It doesn't have to be that you've done this huge thing. It could be that you've actually held up contributed to a gratitude program every night for a week or something like that. It doesn't matter what it is, big or small, but something in your professional career or something in your personal life that you're super, super proud of. And lots of surviving.
Surviving the year. I mean, what a time. And I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty still. Maybe things are not as bad as we may have thought a few days ago with this new variant, but let's wait and see. But there is a lot of uncertainty, right? And living with that is challenging. And so we know from psychology that actually putting pen to paper or, fingers to the keyboard or to the cell phone keyboard is powerful to remind yourself and send a signal to your brain of the things that you have achieved. Because sometimes we go, this year has been an absolute write-off. I don't want to remember anything about it. But actually, in taking this couple of minutes like we're doing now to reflect, it's very powerful because you're sending a reminder to yourself and to your brain that you have achieved things this year, big or small. And that's helpful going forward because we don't want you to get in a situation where you're spiraling into the negative mind frame, where you kind of feel like, I didn't get that promotion, I didn't hit my sales target. Because I think all of us this year, Kirrah, have to have a level of grace given, the global events that have been happening.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think just, it's a huge thing that we've all been through collectively, but really just celebrating some of those things that we're really proud of, or celebrating those that your colleagues around you, and just maybe a little reminder to some of the things that have stood out for them is also something really nice you could do too.
Definitely. And if you're comfortable sharing your success in the chat, we would love to hear from you. I would say one of my professional successes this year was being awarded a grant from Sarah Blakely from Spanx, who some of you may have heard of. That was a professional win for me. And Kirrah, I think you've had a bit of a professional win lately as well.
Oh, yes, I have actually. And thank you for reminding me. See, it helps to remind each other. I have been nominated as a finalist in our CEO Awards at Westpac in recognition for all of the work that we do for women, including these sessions. So I am super, super proud of that. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, and you should be. And by the way, if anyone missed it, the session we ran last month was possibly the most powerful session I think we've done. It was on financial abuse and the impact that that has on us, our friends, and our family. So if you missed that, we're going to pop a link to the YouTube video of that in the chat. It's very, very powerful, and we'd encourage you to share that with people who need to hear that message as well. Because we are a smaller group today, and because it is a wrap-up session, if you feel comfortable putting your successes in the chat, that would be great. And we might even, if we can be so bold, we might even call on some people. You don't have to get involved, but if you want to, you can. And we are going to do a mini networking session as well in just a moment. But let's take a look at these poll results. It looks like more than half of us are happy we just made it through the year, which is probably not a surprise, Kirrah. And then 30% of people are most stoked about their personal achievements. And less of us, only 15%, are kind of really leaning into the professional achievements this year, which I think probably sums up the year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that makes complete sense. But it's great to see such a spread across all of those areas, though, and there's lots to be really proud of for sure.
Yeah, and congrats to Samantha, who's also done some amazing work around violence against women. Very, very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And Marie, this is really cool. Your first TV experience. That sounds pretty impressive. If you've got a link to that, let us know. That's really, really cool. Completing education, certifications, that's awesome too. Carol and Marie, I can see you in my screen. I don't know if there's anything coming up for you that you wanted to pop off mute and share with us as well, just to throw you in the deep end.
I have to say I've really loved these sessions, connecting with women, and I think there's a lot and it's repeated, but you always get 1, 2, or 3 gems. So I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's delightful to have you with us. Thank you, Marie. Carol, go ahead.
Hi, sorry, this is my first session, so apologies I've missed them this year, but delighted to be here in any case. In terms of success, I think personal was really just getting through homeschooling, I think along with anyone else that's been in that boat, and surviving that as a family, I think, and coming out well on the other side. Professional, I built a new team from scratch, and everyone's really happy, working really well together, and that's just a goal, a really big clap for me to see people happy working together.
That is awesome. Congratulations. And yes, Carol, couldn't agree with you more. Anyone who has children or caregiving responsibilities at home, you need a medal. Like, seriously. I don't know how you've done it. So congratulations, and you've made it. It's December. How did that happen? 2022 is a new year. So keeping our fingers crossed that things go a little better. We had one thing that we wanted us all to reflect on before we jump into a really quick speed networking session. We thought it would be helpful to think about one person who's really impacted you this year, someone that you're grateful for, who's helped you get through 2021. And we thought this would be a helpful exercise because we're going to go through some networking tips in just a moment. And sometimes it's helpful to kind of reflect on who has supported you. I would encourage you to think professionally for this exercise. Kirrah, is there anyone that springs to mind for you in particular?
It's really hard to narrow it down to just one. I think I've had, so many people that have been so supportive throughout the year, especially professionally. Someone jumping to mind is a former colleague actually who really helped support the team to become even closer in this really challenging environment. And some of them I've never even met in real life, but really just guided all of us with just so much care and empathy, but also really empowered us to stretch and strive towards our development goals, even under challenging circumstances. So yeah, I think I'm super grateful for her, for sure. What about you, Meggie?
I think reflecting on the people that we're grateful for is helpful. So I'm grateful to my team, some of who are on the session today, for the support that they give to PepTalkHer throughout the year. And then also it's those little people that you meet, someone, and I hope that all of you here today have that person, someone that you meet who really goes above and beyond to send you a kind note, to introduce you to someone, to help you when you started a new job. Those people that maybe they're not your best friend, but they really, really have shown an act of kindness to you throughout 2021. If you want to give a shout out to that person in the chat, go ahead. But if not, I want you to think about that as we jump into our speed networking session in the breakout rooms, because think about, how did you meet that person? How did you first develop that relationship? Because there's things that we can learn from the process of people who we love having in our our life when we think about going forward and going back to in-person networking events, how we can apply those skills into future situations as well. Kirrah, any advice? We're going to jump into the breakout rooms and we'll do about 6 or 7 minutes in here so that you have an opportunity to connect. But Kirrah, any top networking tips from your perspective before we go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I think, well, I'm going to take your point previously about asking questions. I think that's a great one, but also just having some of these achievements top of mind so that you're ready to go, you know, here's this really interesting thing I did, or, you know, it sets me apart, or what are you up to that's kind of interesting? I think that they're really great kind of starting points. Or what are you focusing on? Thinking about some of the directions that or things you're passionate about, or directions you're going in your career or your business, because you just never know what they might be up to or some connections that they might have. And then before you know it, you've snowballed into a really powerful conversation.
Definitely. And I want to just reflect quickly. Kavita's asked a great question in the chat a little earlier about how can you kind of have a conversation that goes beyond the small talk, like how's the weather or how about COVID? Like how can you kind of deepen that conversation? And something that I think is always interesting is, of course, you can share the work that you do. Of course, we all know how to tell someone what our name is. But have a think about what's something different about you? Like what's something kind of unusual? Like, for example, I grew up on a farm. And we literally had kangaroos in our back paddock, in our backyard. And I know that's kind of like an Aussie stereotype, but not everyone has that, right? So it's kind of sometimes like, especially when I'm overseas, when people ask me, oh, what's your story? That's something I'll be like, oh, I grew up in Australia. And yes, you know, it's actually one of those random things. The stereotype is true. I did grow up with kangaroos in my backyard. And people be like, what? That's so weird and random. So what's something random about your life? Are you an amazing ballroom dancer? Do you make the best trifle under the sun? Just something random, because it kind of sometimes relaxes the other person and also it makes you memorable. So I don't know if there's something that like stands out for you, Kirrah, that you typically share.
Oh, look, it's tricky, but I mean, I'm a painter. I love to paint. That's something that's, you know, it's something that calms me and I enjoy it. And it's sort of, I guess it's some form of mindfulness. But yeah, it's probably something that people don't expect.
So I actually didn't know that about you. So there you go. That is super interesting. So have a think about that when you're jumping into these breakout rooms now. We would love for you to connect with the other person. Obviously, feel free to share with them a little bit about your story professionally, but also think about a random fact about you that you might want to share with the other person. And we're really excited for you all to keep in touch on LinkedIn as well. So we're going to encourage you all to make sure that you pop your LinkedIn links in the chat after we come back from the breakout sessions as well. But Kirrah, what do you reckon? Should we pop into the breakout sessions and come back here in about 5 minutes or so?
Absolutely. Let's do it. I can't wait to meet some of you.
Yeah, this will be great. So this is an opportunity to meet some other people in the community. So we are going to jump on in about 2 seconds. Here we go. Perfect. So yeah, feel free to share your name, a little bit about what you do, and something unusual that not everyone knows about you. We'll come back here at about 55 minutes past the hour for a wrap up for today's session. We'll see you all shortly.
Sorry, I had a brain blank for a second then. Yeah, no, it was lovely talking to Melinda. She works at an accounting firm in the city. I work in charities. And so it was really interesting just to hear what different people's successes were and achievements, and how people sort of navigated through this bizarre year that still somehow flew. So, yeah.
It's still, time still flies, even in a pandemic. Hey, Alex and Melinda, I couldn't agree more. How bizarre.
Yeah.
Anything that you're looking forward to post-COVID in particular, or that you're celebrating from the year that was?
Melinda was celebrating an incredible run that she did, and I've just taken over a project where I'm starting a DV education program from scratch, and we have safe houses for St. Vincent's. So that's a celebration on my part, which is why I'm here, interested with what you guys are doing at Westpac with your education piece, which is incredible. So well done.
Wow. Well, listen, I'm sure, I think Kirrah's still in a breakout room, but I know they would love to hear about that work. So if they don't already, please make sure that you reach out or send her a DM. She'd love to hear about that. Welcome back, Helen. How was your breakout room?
I was having a fabulous conversation with Louise, who was telling me about Ruby, and I was telling her about, you know, my work with women who have escaped from violence and who find themselves, you know, up, you know, where without a paddle and cut out from most financial kind of supports. A lot of the family violence organisations, you know, really aren't that helpful, and I don't mean to stick the boots into that industry. And this is the work that I do, and on a pro bono basis. And we got cut off midway through the but it was a fabulous conversation with Louise. So if Louise is out there, she's wonderful, and the work that you do at Ruby sounds awesome.
Yes, I sold it.
Oh, there you are, Louise.
Well, Louise, make sure you pop your LinkedIn in the chat so that you and Helen can connect. If you didn't get a chat, I know it's weird, isn't it? Zoom kind of like sucks you back from the interwebs. Pop your LinkedIn in the chat so that your colleagues and in the speed networking session can connect with you. Definitely. I've popped Kirrah's link in as well, and I'll pop one in too. Kirrah, what was the takeaway for you from your breakout room?
Oh, look, it was such a fabulous discussion, Meggie. I think, you know, it was certainly challenges, big and small, in personal and professional life. And then, you know, some of the small wins, like some of our fitness goals as well that came up, which I think is just fabulous. But yeah, and some really hard ones as well. But what came out for me, which was a total standout as well, is that people came to this session today to actually just be part of this community and meet some new people. And that was just amazing for me. I love that.
Yeah, well, it's such a delight. And it is like, sometimes it can be isolating and lonely, right? When you're working remotely, and even when you're in an office, sometimes you don't always feel like you connect with your colleagues, for better or worse, or you don't always feel like you belong there, right? And I think one of the things that's really interesting about Ruby Connection is the genuine commitment to create a community that is focused on financial freedom for women, financial success, and financial competence, knowledge, and understanding, right? In a digestible, non-judgmental way. And so it's a privilege to partner with Kirrah, Felicity, and the team on these monthly lunch and learns. And I'm delighted that we'll be continuing the conversation in 2022. Please do reach out to Kirrah and I on LinkedIn. We would love to know how you heard about the community and what sort of things you want us to discuss next year, because that's what we're planning now. And again, I want to reiterate, the financial abuse session from last month was incredibly powerful and moving. So do check it out if you haven't already. These sessions always seem to fly, but we try to keep to time because I'm a bit of a stickler. If you're not already tracking your successes, so we spent a little bit of time at the start just reflecting, and thanks to everyone who shared amazing personal and professional wins in the chat. Do take a moment to reflect, because it's very easy to just let time go by and forget about all of those great things. And the good news is, when you track your professional successes, you can use that to advocate for more money, or a higher promotion, or a better position, or more benefits, right? So don't forget about that. And that's the reason why I started PepTalkHer, and that's why we built the app, to help you track those successes and to make it easy. So if you haven't already, make sure that you download the app. You can check it out. It's free. It's called PepTalkHer, and it uses psychology to shift your mindset to focus on your successes. And I feel like that's never been more important, Kirrah, than the year that we've all had.
I agree more, Meggie. And, you know, I think it's such a fantastic tool that we can all have in our toolkit to help us all succeed, and certainly share it with your community. You know, help the ladies in your teams, your friends, to really think about tracking all of those wins, all the big and small, and really do take those into those salary negotiation conversations, so that we can really shift the dial on this gender pay gap and really advocate for what you need and what you deserve. And also check out the salary success session as well. In those two in partnership, you're set up for a fantastic 2022.
Yeah, and it is exciting, isn't it? I do feel like there's great things ahead, and I think that there's been a lot of innovation despite the drama of the last 18 months. So here's hoping that some really exciting things come out of 2022. I'm certainly very optimistic, Kirrah. I hope you are too, about the year ahead.
I certainly am. Forever the optimist. I am ready for it, as I'm sure lots of you are on screen. I can see all your faces. It's really nice to see all your faces, by the way. Really excited for 2022. Can't wait to see you all next year, and have a safe and fantastic and well-deserved break.
Please do. And yeah, it's been a delight. Thank you so much for joining us. And by the way, we've never done speed networking before. I know Zoom breakout rooms can be a bit touch and go. Let me know in the chat with a yes, please, if you'd like us to do more of those and if you'd like us to make them a bit longer so we can have some more in-depth conversations. We can certainly look to facilitate those. And who knows, safety pending, potentially in the future, we'll do some IRL events as well. Let's watch this space. There's a lot of people putting their LinkedIn in the chat. Please do connect. Let them know that you met here. Stay in touch. Support each other. If you're hiring, let people know. If you're looking for a job, please let us know. You know, it's not always what you know, it's who you know, as we all know, for better or worse, in this crazy world that we live in. So do keep in touch. A huge thank you to Westpac and Ruby Connection for sponsoring this and genuinely believing in the power of financial education for all of us, and in particular for women. If you've got questions, if you've got resources that you need, check out rubyconnection.com.au. There are amazing resources on their website. And we'll send you a follow-up email with some more resources too. But go forth, enjoy the holiday season. Make sure you share your secret sauce piece of information, the thing that makes you a little bit different. Please stay safe, and we will see you, I guess, in a month or so, a little over a month in the new year for the 2022 sessions. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Meggie.